So let's call the meeting to order. And so Andrea took minutes last time. I'll be honest and say I don't have my minute sheet in front of me. I meant to print that. I have it in my, but the truth of the matter is it doesn't really matter. Chad, would you be willing to take it since the other two aren't here? And I know Peter did it, I think, just before Andrea. So if you don't mind. And I mean, I am wondering, I really think for efficiency's sake, I might push us to have somebody volunteer to take the minutes. And I do apologize that my minutes were so late. I find it's hard to run the meeting and take notes. And so my notes sometimes I have to go back and listen to the meeting to know what my notes meant. But okay, before we start, I know approval of minutes is the first, but I just want to take a moment to say, I really can't believe that we as a town are the ones who complained the most bitterly about the survey. And we as a town have by far the highest response rate. And, you know, it doesn't do us justice, I think, to say that it's like 898. Keep in mind that our town is much smaller than many of the towns out there. And we will get to feedback. I have mixed feelings that we've gotten this survey out to so many people, because I have had feedback, and it sounds like Peter said he had feedback, that it's a terrible survey, which we thought it was a terrible survey. And now people are complaining to us and we're promoting it. There's this awkward position to be in where you want to get it out so that we get some data. But, you know, somebody wrote to me and literally said everything that I had said to Eugene. I don't know what the rental housing stock is. I had to stop answering these questions because I couldn't and I just wanted to write back and say, yep. So good morning, Aaron. And good morning, Crystal, as you joined. Okay, Crystal saying she has to leave for a 9 o'clock meeting. I actually have a 9, but I'll be late to it. So we'll just see how long we go. In any case, nevertheless, I want to say thank you to all of you for all of the work that you have done. You know, I know Heather has done so much in making sure that this survey got posted. Andrea has done so much physically moving it from place to place and making sure people would, allow us to do it. Peter, sounds like, sent it out to many people. I'm sure you did as well, Chad. I think the response rate is because, we're sending it out. What it'll do for us, I don't know. But at the very least, if there are, almost 900 people who are willing to answer this survey, then I'm happy about that, no matter what they say in the survey, because I feel like our ultimate goal is to let Madison know that we're trying to do this and to do it in a way that the community wants us to do it. And so I think getting a word out in even a bad survey is worthwhile. And I think then we will have our survey, which will really allow the town to talk to us about what they want in affordable housing. So with that, I want to just go to the minutes, and then I'm sorry, we'll go back to the survey, but I just thank you, Heather, for sending that on to everyone. So I apologize. We still have to approve the minutes from September 10th because I didn't have them ready for the last meeting. Did everyone have a chance to look at those? Can I have a motion
to approve?
Okay.
Second.
Thank you, Andrea. All in favor? I think that's just us. And no opposed. So the minutes are approved. And now the minutes of September 24th. Thank you, Andrea, for taking such detailed minutes. I really appreciate it. I'm happy to make a motion to approve those minutes. Anyone?
Okay.
Thank you, Peter. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so the minutes from 9/24 are approved. So thank you. So survey, and I'm going to turn over to you all. I wanted to, have an update on how it's being disseminated, and maybe Heather wants to tell us all the different places it has gone briefly. And then next, I want to talk to us all, because so many of us cannot do this weekend. Do we want to still try a table outside or not? But let's hear from Heather so far what we've done. That might help us know what we still need to do.
So currently the survey has gone out to the Senior Commission, the Beach and Rec Commission, Salt Meadow, Bower, and Rockland committees. It's also gone out to town employees, and it has gone out through Peggy's like email blast that she has.
And then it's posted on the front page of the Madison web page now too, I noticed.
Yeah, Rita Boland has really been amazing and so helpful in getting it posted in a bunch of different places. The library also has been very helpful, and the library then has gotten some feedback that they've passed on to me. Hasn't always been good, but I appreciate too that they're, you know, partnering with us to tell us what people are saying. So it has been posted in a lot of places, and I think that's partly why we're getting such a good turnout. I think also somebody posted it on Facebook after we had that whole discussion, should we or shouldn't we? And so honestly, I think it's a lesson in, we might as well hear what people have to say. I guess that begs the question of, do we want to still do some tables? So I know, unfortunately, that Aaron and Matt can't. I'm game to do it for a few hours, Andrea, if you want, at Roberts. I'm torn because, you know, I was the lone voice, I think, saying we really should have some paper copies. I know that Heather has done a good job of putting paper copies in different places. It's just a different way to get to people. But then knowing we couldn't do it at Stop and Shop, I would imagine Roberts has equal foot traffic. I leave it, what do you think? Do you think we should do it? Should we just leave it alone? I don't know.
Sarah, I'll give you my view. It's the same one I just emailed you on a few minutes ago.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that is, I have problems in October in general, making meetings. November is great. And so I actually apologize that I haven't said that I couldn't yet, but now I've said it. I guess I wonder, given that we're getting such a great response to the survey, for better or worse, whether it's good or bad, we'll leave that alone, but we're getting a lot of response and we're going to get more. And I'm going to guess at the end of the day, we could have as much as 10% of Madison's population actually,
I think that's,
responding.
I think almost all, yeah, exactly.
Which is actually significantly, I think, probably significant, statistically speaking. I guess I might suggest, since we know we're going to have to resurvey, maybe that's the time we do the tables where we come back out with, now we've heard from you. Now we're looking to really drill down onto Madison, do the tables again, not try to force people to come up, but just be available, say, here's our survey, yada, yada, yada. And then try to do that maybe in November when we're ready to launch the second one, as opposed to trying to hand out a survey that we all know is patently flawed that we have right now.
I agree with that. I think there are hard copies in different offices in Town Hall, and the entrance at Beach and Rec and a couple of other places. There's the library and the senior center. I think that Peter's right. I think maybe to save that part of it until our survey comes out.
I don't know, Chad, if you have anything to add, but I think I agree as well.
I just also think the questions on our survey, I'm going to be able to answer and feel more confident talking about. Yep. And it's just I couldn't stand there face to face with a lot of the public and try and support some of the questions that are on what's being distributed right now. So
I think we have a decision, and I think we're all at least we're all in agreement. And I do think that there would be value to doing this in November. And, to that end, we'll go through Peter's talking points, which Peter, I really appreciate that you thought to do that. That really makes a lot of sense to me, so that, we can be ready to have a dialogue with people, should they want to, and then maybe in that case, we try to be at the library, we try to be at the senior, we try to be different places, not necessarily to get such a good survey turnout, although that would be helpful for our second survey, but also to really hear from people. So fine, let's, I don't know, Andrea, if you need to circle back with Roberts and say,
I will tell them, because they were so kind to
fine.
offer.
And maybe you want to tell them, we'd really love it if you'll allow us to do this in November, and we'll be back in touch. Okay, and then, so I guess similarly, if you haven't done your notes to personal contacts I find easier, because you can sort of say, this is kind of a flawed survey, but we're trying to hear from as many people as possible. It's not as easy to say that when you're passing out a survey and say, take this survey. I don't think it's great, but we had to kind of do it. So, okay. Has anyone else received, I know, Peter, you said you received feedback that some people said it was lousy. So the little bit of feedback I got was what we thought, I can't answer these questions. Then there was the problem that it said there were 57 or 53 questions. So we fixed that problem. Anyone else? Interestingly, we're the only town of Quebec said that. So I don't, and I don't know if you saw it.
My
but,
wife
like,
told me it was a lousy survey.
I think at first some people were afraid that it would hurt my feelings if they told me how bad they thought it was, but some
Totally.
people then said, oh yeah, it's really not a very good survey. So
yeah.
I did get feedback.
And I will say some of the feedback I got was so polite, in its that it made me happy, even as they were insulting the survey, and just trying to take stock of who is looking at affordable housing and thinking about it. It's good to have some, just to hear some people's views, knowing that they cared enough to take the survey, and then also to write a nice note about how bad it was. So I appreciated that. Let's do this then. Let's just move on instead of beating a dead horse, and let's finalize the schedule for our first educational forum. Let's just get it done. So I had reached out to David Fink, and he was basically willing to do it on any day he didn't teach. We sort of narrowed down to Thursdays in November. Heather and Aaron and others pointed out that one of those Thursdays is Veterans Day, so we would probably want to steer clear of that. And, I'm hoping that David hasn't booked up. But so the 4th and the 18th were out there. He had some earlier dates, just before the election. And I just felt like, I didn't think that was the right thing to do. Yeah, I see you shaking your head, Peter. So just people will be busy. And so the 4th is election week. I don't know if that seems too busy. The 11th is that Veterans Day. Then there's the 18th. I don't know what people think about between the 4th and the 18th.
18th probably is better.
Is this an evening meeting, Sarah?
I think it is. I think we're going to record it, and then I think we're going to try to send it out in the same way we sent out this survey. I mean, maybe not quite the same way, but I think we should send out, like, here is a recording of the, but I think to do it in the day, unless we're doing it twice, it just misses a lot of people, unless,
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that November 18th is a Planning and Zoning Commission
Yeah, it
meeting,
is.
7
I just
o'clock.
looked
Oh, you did tell me that.
I thought there was the 15th might have been an option as well.
So let me go
David's
back
email?
to David's original, because I had sort of narrowed down on his Thursday dates, and I apologize.
No, because there may be members who would like to attend as well.
He teaches on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. You are totally right. I skipped there. There's the 8th and 15th. Okay, so let me tell you all the days. The 1st, which I thought wouldn't be good because of election. 4th, which wouldn't be good. And then he said the 8th, 11th, 15th, or 18th. 8th, 11th, 15th, or 18th. 8th,
I
So
would
you're
vote
right,
for the
it's Mondays
Mondays.
and Thursdays of that week. And I guess in my head, I just thought, yeah.
You're looking to do this at the library, the senior center, or the town hall? What was the location?
I guess, Erin, Heather, I'm unsure whether we're doing it in person at all. I
Okay.
saw that the guidelines from the town were if you can avoid doing it in person, please do. So I certainly don't want to go against whatever even recommendations, even if it's not like you can't. But I didn't know how they felt about us doing a hybrid where we allow a certain amount of people physically there. I know that I went to the hearing, like the way they're doing the Board of Selectmen meetings, that was set up really well, where there's, the audience and then there's cameras and so you can see everything. I don't know, what do people think? If we do it on Zoom, obviously we don't have to worry about a physical space.
If you're looking to do a hybrid meeting, I would recommend doing it at the town hall, not at the senior center. I don't know what the capabilities are over at the library.
Say no more. Yeah, that makes sense. And I think it has to at least be a hybrid. Let's say that.
Yeah.
I don't think it can be a solely in person. Does everyone agree with that?
Mhm.
Plus, I want
Right.
it recorded so that we can send it out.
I think Lauren may have mentioned that the library is not hybrid yet. So I think it would have to be at town hall.
She had said she wasn't sure what their capabilities were.
Oh, okay.
I thought that's what she said, but you know what? I mean, so many emails. So Erin, if I've misspoken,
Yeah,
yes.
no.
So I guess,
Well, let's see.
only because I will just say is like, with our synagogue, as we move around to different places, we've managed to make it hybrid. It's not the same high tech as what we've got for the Board of Selectmen, but to make something a hybrid where you have a panel isn't that difficult. Although maybe with town meetings, it's more but this isn't a town meeting. This is an educational forum, right?
Will there
So-
be a question answer period, Sarah? That's the only
Yeah.
part that could be,
Yeah.
so that
there
people
would
could
be-
hear each other, both in person and virtually.
No, you're right. So that we could, yeah. I
but-
mean,
So is it town meeting room, Heather, maybe you know this better than me. It's town meeting room A that,
It's the fishbowl.
I always call it
Yes.
the fishbowl. I'm not sure
Okay.
the label. Do you have access to that calendar?
I do.
You do.
And
Good. Okay.
it's
There's
free.
no meetings really scary. I just looked,
Yeah, no, it is
there's a Board
clear.
of Selectmen in the morning, one of those dates, but otherwise it looks like it's pretty empty and those commissions wouldn't be in that room.
can I use
You're
that
right.
just from time to time? That setup is amazing. Sad to think of, like, nobody's in there from. All right, so all those
Yeah.
dates are free?
Do you want me to just text the list of dates to Lauren real quick and get her feedback on that in case there's anything?
Yeah, I thought
Okay.
but yes, please, if you don't mind, why not? Let me ask you this, does anyone object to any of those dates? Besides the 18th, now that I'm remembering, and I apologize.
The 4th also is a planning and zoning commission meeting.
I think we thought the 4th was no good just because it's
Right.
like election week anyway.
So we're really talking about the Mondays, right? 8th and 15th.
We're talking about
Right.
the 8th and 15th.
Yeah, those,
So the
I'm fine
8th
with those.
Yeah, there's a Board of Selectmen meeting in the morning on the
Right.
8th. And there's a Conservation Commission meeting in the evening. However, I'm not sure if that really has any relevance.
So the 15th might be the best.
That's my thought.
So why don't we put them in order of what we might want, the 15th and then the 8th? And is that all we've got left from what he said? He could,
I
yeah.
think so.
He teaches on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, he said.
Yeah, if I'm sitting on this committee, panel discussion, whatever it is, Mondays are preferable for me.
Fine,
I
that's good to
I
know.
volunteer and teach a lot of the other nights.
Fine, that's good to know.
Great.
All right. As soon as I hear from Lauren, I'll let you know.
Okay, so why don't we do this? When we hear from, as long as you're all fine with that, we have David saying yes. I know Elaine Reitman said yes, depending from Concord Meadows, depending on when it is. So once we have a date, Andrea, maybe you'll get in touch with her. And obviously, Crystal, you'll know. And then I just have to get the teacher and or firefighter or other person, but it was hard to do that without a date. So I can do that today once we will hear, if that date is doable. And I will lock in David Fink because I know others might be asking him as well. So, okay. So with that, do we want to go over, Peter was kind enough to think of like, we might want some talking points so we're all on the same page. And he put those talking points together and then he ran them by David Fink, who added some things. And so I think Peter has circulated that to all of you. And a lot of them are self-explanatory and very helpful. But Peter, I didn't know if you wanted to say anything about it.
The only reason I did it is because I know that we all individually are pretty passionate about affordable housing, but the average person who might be less informed or more negative, some of these facts are fairly compelling as to what we have going on in our town. And I just think you need to make them aware of it. And it's easy for us to forget. And I just know even in my own job, I keep things like this to remind me of the most salient points. So that's why I did it. It was mostly as much a crutch as anything for me.
Peter, would you mind sending a copy along?
It's on its way, Aaron, right now.
Thanks.
Aaron, I'm sorry, I think that we've had a group without you for a while.
I
So
know.
and that might have been, so we're gonna just try to remember to start a whole new list where we, and take Roz off because she's officially resigned and we add Aaron. And I know somebody else will soon be coming from the senior center. Is that right, Heather?
I'm not sure if she officially was appointed on the Board of Selectmen agenda or not. I'll check in on that.
Okay, if she was, I guess she should have been invited to this meeting, but
I don't think it's happened yet.
Okay, fine. So we'll create yet a new one. All right, well, if no one has any questions, and I just thank you, Peter, for taking the initiative because I think it will be helpful for us. And also just when we go to those booths, just to sit there and maybe have it, because sometimes the numbers get confusing and I think not everybody understands what we are talking about.
I just share one more thing. If people have other things they want to add to it, just send it along and I'll put it in there so we have sort of a similar document, or I can put it on Google Docs or whatever. But there's no pride of authorship here whatsoever.
I don't have other things to add really, except that I think saying what the hourly wage of what you have to make, and then saying like what the average, the one that broke down, this is what a teacher makes in this year, actually that might've been the email Tom Daly sent out, sort of showing what a teacher makes at different times. And it's just helpful to put in perspective who makes what and what that means for a lot of different people. So, okay. We've been talking a lot about this, but then moving on to the next item, but then we've had surveys and things to do for SCROG. I think our next moves we're doing our Madison survey. We're putting it together. Matt has said that he had already taken a draft, although some of our questions were asked in this one. So I'm going to remind Matt that he's working on that and he should circulate to the group. So that we'll be ready for doing it in November. I think now we know how to get it out pretty quickly, and this one will be a very fast one. So I thought it might make sense to schedule some developers if they're willing to come. I sort of had the idea that having more than one at a meeting to talk to us might go over better just in terms of, so they understand they're not the developer and other people understand we're not actually creating anything, but we're hearing from different people. Do you feel we're ready for that? Anyone? Bueller?
I suppose it's as good as any time. The Hope Partnership, or Caleb, excuse me, said they would come. Whether he's available then, I don't know. It's something that could be pushed back to, I think, without too much difficulty. But yeah, I don't know why I even say that. It's just, I don't feel there's so many things that we're staring at right now in terms of the survey and getting information, the developer piece. I don't know how much it helps at this point. But we're going to need to do it. There's no question about it.
I mean,
Isn't it
that's
timing?
fine. I guess when I was thinking about what we need to actually accomplish at the next meeting, it would be finalizing that survey. But from what I've seen from this group is usually somebody writes something and besides a few tweaks, we're good. So I didn't really think that that would be such a working meeting where we'd have to do it. And I guess in my head, hearing from developers what they need in order to make something, in order to do something, like Beacon had said at one of their hearings, we need this many units to make it something that we can actually do, might help inform our, conversations with other people as we're, but we certainly can hold off till November. You want to hold off for November's meetings, and then then we'll have plenty of time to make sure that we could get at least 3 different developers there.
I think that's good.
Okay, so I think, Peter, I'm going to ask the people I said I would ask, and I'm going to ask them, I mean, maybe we should just pick.
Try to schedule it.
Exactly. So we have a meeting on the 22nd. And honestly, I apologize, but I'm out of town on the 5th. So is the 19th too late? Of course, my daughter has a doctor's appointment on the 19th at Yale at this time, but we'll figure it out. If we do the 19th,
19th is as good as any. If you'd like me to reach out for the 19th, that would be great.
Fine. Let's try that. Okay. Could we really be done in 30 minutes time? Because I have a 9 o'clock that I didn't think I was going to make, but yeah, Peter.
I just had one other comment, and Aaron was there last night as well. We had planning and zoning, and one of the things that we have is John Guskowski who's kind of on retainer, if you will, through the end of January or whenever the town, everybody mutually agrees to end it, is available to do some work on various projects. And I brought up looking at some of the opportunity areas that we might have in town and left that with the committee, which they didn't seem to oppose. And I think it's up to Aaron and John to get together and have a discussion. I did send along the document that we had been using as of late December. Some of that is just, it's brainstorming stuff, but that's what we have to do. And John would be good at that because he helped write the town plan, or excuse me, the affordable housing plan for both Old Saybrook and Essex. So I throw that out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's great. Honestly, I mean, and I appreciate you saying something because I misspoke at our last meeting saying I didn't think the town owned that much property. And then a citizen sent all of us, right, the spreadsheet of different vacant lots and things like that. And so that's something that I just really don't know. I'm really ignorant of it. And I feel like we have to educate ourselves on, what's out there. So I think that would be great. And then, so Peter, do you think he'd be willing to put something together and come speak to us?
I'll let Aaron speak to that.
Sure. So our interim town planner, John Guskowski, is a principal of Tyche Consulting firm, which is a planning firm that has worked with various municipalities to either serve as planners, zoning enforcement officers, or as a hired consultant to develop plans, rewrite regulations, things like that. And so Tyche has done numerous affordable housing plans per statutory requirement, so that we get that and meet the June 1st deadline of 2022. As we do have dedicated funds for Tyche, we were trying to figure out, one, if we had continued need for our consultant, since I have now come into the position full time, and if there are any other opportunities that we could use their services. And so one area that John had offered is to help draft that plan of affordable housing. So I don't know how the committee feels about that as a whole, if you are looking to have someone come on board who can help and assist through the process, and ultimately even putting that document in print for the town. But that is, we do have available monies and professionals who are willing to be involved. So just wanted to offer that as a service to the committee.
So I appreciate that. And I think that's something that we have to think about because obviously we've paid through the SCROG for this consultant to write our plan. So we sort of have already paid for that to happen. And I don't honestly have any sense of what we've paid the SCROG, or I don't know exactly what we're paying the consultant. Even if I know what we're paying the consultant, I don't know what Madison is paying the consultant, so I think before we ask someone else to write the plan, we need to go back to a few people and see if that's,
Okay.
So RKG, who did the survey, is supposed to also write the plan for each of those towns. And I'll just say, and this is a public meeting, but I'll just say from what we've seen, we have been underwhelmed.
That was my understanding, was that,
Yes.
and it was my understanding in going with an individual survey and looking at the needs specifically to Madison. I wasn't sure if you were going to continue on the SCROG route, or if the town would just like to have their own consultant to do that.
And Peter, I see your hand. And so I feel like that's a discussion, at least for, I want to be sort of fiscally responsible and know that we've already paid for something. And so I don't know, I think step number one would be figuring out what we've paid and
Look into that.
Yeah.
For you to at least get some of that information.
Yes, that would be helpful. Peter,
Sure.
what were your thoughts there?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I have this impression, and I don't know why, but somebody said it to me, I'm pretty sure, that what we'll get from SCROG is a broad-based discussion of affordable housing. Then we might get like a 1 or 2 page thumbnail of each town's specific plans. And I don't know that that's going to be enough.
I think
it might get us the passing grade for what we have to have in terms of a plan with the state, but it may not be enough for our own purposes to actually have something that's actionable.
So I don't know if someone told you that sort of unofficially or officially. I think it might be worth it for me to go back and have a conversation.
I agree.
Because my understanding is they are doing your plan soup to nuts, but what that person said might also be true in that they're doing 15 or 13 plans. And so they're going to have like a basic, this is what the need is, and then like a page or two that's specific to you. And as we have said all along, doing a plan that just checks a box but doesn't get us anywhere going forward makes no sense to any of us. So maybe it's worth it for me to go back and say, ideally, what are we expecting to get? I know that they're supposed to meet with Madison, like separately, all of the towns separately, but I think that's an hour, so to meet with the town of New Haven, to meet with New Haven, the city, for an hour, and then so I don't know. I think it's worth it for me to at least ask that question while Erin goes back and finds out what funds were already spent on this.
Sure.
And then it might well be that we want some help. I also think some of us feel we could write the plan. The real things that we want to plug in are hearing from where are their spots? What could be done? What are we going to propose for the future to get us there? So. But okay, I think if we all ask those questions, that'll help us know when we go back to John what we would and would not want to ask for. Does anyone have anything else? Okay, I think with that, then let's adjourn, and then I appreciate, Andrea, that you're going to circle back with Roberts. I guess we have the weekend off. And I will see you all in 2 weeks. If you haven't filled out the survey or sent it to others, please do. And I'll see you all in 2 weeks.